Oh my god, he's coming back. Am I coming back? I don't know, probably not. I've been hanging out in the fringes of the community for quite a while though. It's kind of unavoidable after immersing myself in it so deeply. It follows you around, you know? I don't mind though. It's kind of interesting to observe the GD community from a distance. It's like watching an ant colony. I wanted to make this video because recently a very interesting level was released. The National Anthem by Gecko. In some ways it reminded me of Save As, which took the community by storm a little while ago. Although where Save As is pretty clear in its themes of memory loss from Alzheimer's, I mean, it kind of tells you straight up. The National Anthem is a lot more abstract with its theming, and that's what I wanted to talk about today. So just as a heads up, we won't actually be talking about Geometry Dash in this video that much. I'll be talking about this level as a piece of art, and I'll be talking about politics. This is an analysis, not a review. At first, I didn't really think that much of the level, other than it looking kind of interesting. Apparently, parts of this level were created using Spotnik's level string interpreter. I don't actually know how it works, but basically some parts were kind of, sort of, randomly generated. You'll see what that means in a bit. It's unclear whether or not the level is actually possible to beat because of this, and when I found out about that, my initial thought was just to kind of dismiss the level. I mean, what good is a Geometry Dash level if you can't even play it, right? Well, after talking about the level with some people and thinking about it some more on my own, I started to develop more of an appreciation for it. I guess it's like cheese. You're supposed to let it ferment in your mind. Looking at it, I think there's a pretty clear sense that this level is trying to say something, but what is that exactly? Well, I think the name of the level gives us a pretty strong indication where to look. The National Anthem. Of course, that's also the name of the song, but I think there's a clear theme at play here. The song doesn't sound like any real national anthem I know of, and the level doesn't feature a lot of national symbolism whatsoever. I think more than anything, this level is meant to convey a base emotion, specifically the way people feel about their nation as a collective. Everyone. A national anthem, not composed by any musician, but felt straight from the hearts of its citizens. The song evokes this looming sense of dread with the droning bass line that plays constantly. It's not a positive picture that's being painted here. The people are restless. The state tries to control its citizenry by means of patriotic propaganda. The flickering TV screens are a pretty clear indicator for that. You can imagine JFK's famous quote being played on there pretty easily, right? Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. Now get on your knees. Roll over. Good boy. People always seem to forget that second half of the quote for some reason. Kidding aside, I always thought that quote was strange. Do Americans really feel inspired by this? He's basically telling you to shut the fuck up and follow orders. Don't question the state, instead be an obedient puppy to them. Anyway, as time goes on, the people feel more and more disillusioned with the nation. The propaganda starts to break down as the nation fails its citizens through things like corruption, poverty, war crimes, causing misery. The music sounds increasingly erratic, and the level itself starts to break down to reflect this. And while at first I thought the gameplay was a deal breaker for me, I think it adds onto this feeling pretty elegantly. People are losing faith in their country and its institutions. They're becoming disillusioned with the electoral process. They don't feel represented by the politicians, who don't seem to be meeting the needs of the population. There's this sense of despair and directionlessness. They're looking for a way forward, but it just seems impossible. This gives rise to chaos. People don't trust national or mainstream institutions anymore, so they look for alternatives. What were previously fringe conspiracy theories become the norm, and the nation becomes increasingly divided. There's a stark contrast between both sides of the political spectrum, red and blue, left and right. Previously they'd been closer together, less contrast between them, but now they are irreconcilable. The two sides live in completely separate realities. At the end, we are shown a black and white TV screen. Perhaps this is meant to represent a sense of nostalgia, a desire to go back to the good old days. This feeling can also be exploited politically. What we're seeing here could be the rise of fascist propaganda. People buy into the idea that they need to return to tradition in order to save their country from the brink of ruin, an imagined past that never really existed in the first place. You see, nostalgia gives you a biased perspective of history. It exaggerates the good things you remember and diminishes the bad. People are sold a sanitized version of their history, and they buy into it hook, line, and sinker out of sheer desperation. The nation succumbs to fascism, And with that, the level ends. So yeah, that's how I've chosen to interpret it. You can probably find some nitpicks with my analysis, but I think this is pretty compelling, albeit a little depressing. Is this what Gecko intended? Who knows? I don't think it matters that much. It's fun to think about at least. Anyway, I don't know if trying to marry Geometry Dash with political content is all that viable, so don't expect me to do another video like this. If you like this though, I encourage you to watch some of my other videos too, and let me know what you think in the comments. By the way, I am in the process of editing a pretty big video, which should be coming out pretty soon. Hopefully I can get a little more consistent now.